Ad Astra is a science fiction film and is directed by James Gray and stars Brad Pitt. And the film is about an astronaut who goes on a mission to find out about recent occurrences that have caused worldwide devastation, while also figuring out how his long-lost father is involved. For those who have followed my channel for most of this year, you will know that I have said that 2019 has not been the best year for films. The movies that have come out in 2019 have been lackluster at best. And yes, while with some films I gave 9 out of 10, I liked them, but there was still one or two things about them that just didn't click with me. But after 9 months, I finally found one. I finally found a film I loved from start to finish, and that movie is Ad Astra. Just before I get into talking about this film, I will say that I'm not going to make this a spoiler review, even though I very much want to talk about this film as there was a lot I liked. I do think that this film is a science fiction experience that people need to see, and it's best to go see this movie without knowing a lot, as when I went into Ad Astra, I was completely blind. The only thing I knew about this film was the overall plot about Brad Pitt trying to find his father, played by Tommy Lee Jones, and that was just about it. Everything else I did not expect coming. Also, before I fully go into talking about this film, there is one thing I want to mention. This film may not be for a lot of people. For those who are looking for an entertaining science fiction film, this is not that movie. Ad Astra is not Star Wars. This film is more of a smart science fiction movie in the same vein as 2001: A Space Odyssey. And like 2001, Ad Astra has a very slow pace to it. So if you're not a fan of slow burn movies, this will not be for you. However, if you like science fiction films that take their time, you will definitely like this, because I did, especially for that reason. So yeah, finally getting into the review, first thing I've got to talk about is the visuals. This film looks absolutely gorgeous. This film is such a visual treat for the eyes. The use of colors, the vast wonder of space, the way certain scenes are lit. If you want a film with just pure visual wonder, this film will deliver on that. For me, this film has the best visual effects I've seen from any film from this year. And I'll even say it right now, I think this film should be nominated for and win Best Visual Effects at the Oscars. So while a lot of my high praise goes to the visual effects, there was still a lot to this film that was actually fantastic. The acting from Brad Pitt was just superb, and some people may criticize Brad Pitt's acting for not showing enough emotion, but the way I saw it was, there was a very real subtlety to his acting. Brad Pitt's character is driven down the same path that his father was, very much focused on his work, distant from everyone else, and even when Brad Pitt shows emotion like sadness, it just struck me. And Brad Pitt is one of those very few actors that can pull off this kind of subtlety. The story as well, some people may find a little bit too simple, but the way I saw it was, this movie was Apocalypse Now in space, as throughout the movie there is a lot of narration from Brad Pitt as he talks about the lives of the human race in the future, the mental stability that both he and the other astronauts are going through, as well as criticizing the people that put him on this mission. So it is very much like a journey that Brad Pitt goes through, as at the start he has his mission and he goes right through with it, but as his journey goes on he starts to question things and starts to question himself. I also like the commentary that this film had, as this film is set in the future, and in the future the human race are living on the moon. And unfortunately, life on the moon is just like life on Earth, which shows how very little has changed in the human race, as even life on the moon has just become this big commercialized sort of place. I also have to give credit to a few other things. The music score is just great, and I also liked James Gray's direction. Now, James Gray is a director who I've never been that big on. I haven't enjoyed his recent films, like The Lost City of Z and The Immigrant, as both those films have Gray's very slow pacing to them. And unfortunately, I found both those films boring, and that was one of my major concerns about Ad Astra, as I just thought that this was going to be another boring James Gray movie. But thankfully, James Gray's pacing actually works in a science fiction movie, as even when the movie has its slowest points, just the shots of the vast wonders of space kept me interested. Overall, for me at least, this is one of the best films of the year, and in a year that's been pretty dull, this one was such a breath of fresh air, and I've done my best not to spoil anything about this film. This movie was smart, engaging, enjoyable, Brad Pitt was phenomenal, the visual effects were jaw-dropping, and while the story may be simple, there was still something to it that just hooked me in. And Ad Astra was one of the best movie experiences I've had in a long time, and I'm gonna give Ad Astra a 10 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my channel below. As always, I'm NETX5. Thank you for watching.